Welcome to Roundup Reddit, your go-to channel for the latest and most dramatic stories from the internet. Today's story involves a complicated family relationship, a tumultuous wedding, and a sister who just couldn't stay out of trouble. Let's dive into the story. Story 1. I'm cutting my sister off after she tried to add my husband on Instagram. I, 28, female, have finally made the decision to cut my 32 female sister out of my life because she tried to follow my husband on Instagram. For some context, my sister and I never had a great relationship. I idolized her growing up, and at times she was nice and sisterly to me, but we have different dads, and she made it clear at a young age that she wished it was just her, our mom and her dad. She blames me for their divorce. My sister was definitely my biggest bully growing up. She'd beat me up, although I think most sisters did this, and she would always make fun of me for my looks and personality. She would also intentionally get me in trouble by pretending I attacked her, or she'd throw herself into a wall and start crying for our mom saying I pushed her. There were a lot of other things she would do, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, when we became adults, she went off the rails, dropped out of college twice, lost a lot of her friends, started partying and doing drugs, and just became a bit of a mess. I tried to support her as much as I could, but she never wanted my help. She would try to flirt with my husband by bending over in short dresses without any underwear and attempting to sit on his lap. This all made him uncomfortable, but I kind of let it slide considering her mental state. I regret that, as I should have taken my husband's feelings into account. He hated her and still does, and whenever we have family events, he tries to distance himself from her. To give a brief history of the past 10 years, because I could go on forever about the things she's done, she teased me relentlessly and told me I was boring after I was diagnosed with multiple heart conditions. She admitted in a drunken state that she intentionally sabotages social situations so that I feel outlasted. She threw a beer bottle at my head, and when I made her leave the room so I could clean up the mess, she told everyone I was mean to her and made her sleep on the couch. Then, when I told them what really happened, she said I was drama. She got drunk at my bachelorette party and tried to make it all about her. And then, after my bridal shower the month before my wedding, she told our whole family that my dad, who I was eagerly looking forward to walking me down the aisle, said both of us as kids. This is not true, but of course, she waited for me to leave before telling anyone, so I couldn't tell everyone the truth. I've continued to keep her in my life because I love her and don't want family events to be awkward. But recently, out of nowhere, she deleted me off of Instagram and Snapchat. I thought it was strange, but then her friend requested that my husband and I am honestly just over it. This was my last straw. I think I'm just done with her. I know it's such a small thing to cut someone off over, but I just don't have any more F's to give edit. Wow, I wrote this as a way to vent and maybe get a couple of opinions. I didn't realize the traction it would get. I'd like to address a couple of things. I really appreciate all the support I've gotten on here and the advice. I am so sorry for all of you who have been in my shoes. I wish that no one else had to experience this. Thank you all for the helpful tips and telling me to stand strong. In moments of weakness, I'll refer back to those comments people have been saying. Her actions sound like an SA victim, and you're right. She was SA'd as a child, but it was actually her dad's side, and she's always had a weird relationship with him. This is probably why I gave her so many excuses for a lot of her actions. But when it comes to my dad, I know she wasn't assaulted because she said it was only at night, but we had bunk beds and she was the top bunk, and I was an incredibly light sleeper. If she moved, I'd wake up immediately. Also, in recent years, she's been kind of known for lying about abuse, which is why most people didn't believe her when she accused my dad. And honestly, I've been SA'd as well by past boyfriends and babysitters. So if it weren't so blatantly untrue, I would have believed her. Yes, I realize it took me an ungodly amount of time to do this. I feel horrible reading the comments about what a bad wife I am to let her do that to my husband for so long, but those comments are valid. I should have cut her off years ago, but I definitely have mommy issues and was desperate for my mom not to be upset with me. For those asking, I actually have discussed this with my mom and pointed out that her relationship with her sister is similar, but she blew up. She gets really defensive when it comes to my sister, and others in the family have tried to say something but were shut down. People definitely tiptoe around her. Anyway, I'm not going to anymore, and you're all right. This wasn't fair to my husband, and I should have cut her off a long time ago. I'll try to update this when I confront my family, and in the meantime, I'll try to answer any questions you all have. Story 2. Am I the asshole for cutting off contact with my sister after she tried to sabotage my wedding? For context, I am 29, and my sister is 26. This basically all started when my sister Ashley was diagnosed with severe autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder at around the age of 2. It was normal, just a lot of temper tantrums, but at the age of 5, she finally learned that she can do anything she wants without consequences. Whenever I had something she didn't have, my parents would always either get her the same thing or I had to give her it. I always tried to argue back, but my parents always said I was being unfair. and to be nice to my sister because of her condition. On some occasions, she would even run into my room and brag about if mom was taking her to the store or got a new toy that I didn't have. I was pretty fed up with this, so I decided to save up allowance money on a lock for my door so I could get some privacy. After my sister tried one of her attempts to barge into my room, realizing she couldn't open it, she started to complain to my parents about it. I tried explaining to my parents how she can't keep barging into my room. My parents argued back saying how I'm being selfish and how I should just let her do it because of her condition. I couldn't win against them and I had to remove the lock. Fast forward a few months, I just turned 9. I wanted to go to a local arcade with all my friends, but of course, my sister was complaining about how she couldn't choose where my party was. But thankfully, my parents didn't let her choose. When we get to the arcade, it was all fine. Until we went back into the party room, I was horrified. Apparently, my parents left my sister in the room for a few minutes to go get me and my friends, and when we came back, the cake was all over floor. Most of the presents were torn open or destroyed. I was trying to hold back my tears while my sister had a big grin on her face. My dad had to bring her home. However, like all things she did, she got away with it. My mom was telling me, she can't help it, it wasn't her fault. The only thing you can do right now is to deal with it. I broke down into tears after hearing what she said and stormed out of the room. Fast forward a few weeks, I have barely been talking to my parents. Every chance I got, I would avoid them. Thankfully, my parents let me install the lock back on my door after Ashley went into my room while I was changing. Ever since Ashley got into first grade, she has constantly been asking for help with her homework, and by help, I mean playing games while I have to do it. My parents are always busy during work, so they force me to help her. One day, Ashley's teacher decided to assign her class a project. The project was to make your favorite fast food restaurant from cereal boxes. She decided not to do anything until the last day before it was due. Like usual, I had to help her again. I was panicking because it was like 9:09 and my bedtime was 10. I was asking her what her favorite fast food place was. She didn't respond until 30 minutes went by, and she said, "You choose." I was about to scream. I chose the easiest one to make, which was McDonald's. 50 minutes go by. I finished the project, but what she did made me almost want to kill her. She decided to throw it across the room and stomp on it. My parents went to check to see all the noise, and my sister's on the floor pretending to cry, saying how I broke it and how I want her to fail. I was shocked. My parents sided with her again. Even before I got to argue back, I was grounded for weeks. I felt like I wanted to kill myself, however I couldn't do it. Fast forward until I was 17, my sister just turned 14, and she decided to bring her friend home. I thought nothing of it. She had friends over all the time. But this time was different. I went to the bathroom for like 5 minutes. When I got out, my room was trashed. Bed sheets all over the place, pillows in every corner, lamp knocked over. They even threw my computer on the floor. If you were wondering, yes, I still had the lock, but they pick-locked it. Apparently, her friend was good at picking locks. My parents were on vacation when I called them to tell them about it. They just told me I was lying and to stop trying to get my sister in trouble all the time. I decided I needed to move far away. I spent all junior and senior year working hard to get a good scholarship. Fast forward a year later, I had my graduation. My parents and grandparents were all there, except for my sister. My parents came up with the excuse of how she was sick and she couldn't go, but they used that excuse so many times that I couldn't even care anymore. Graduation was really fun. Me and my friends hosted an after party. At my house, my sister was nowhere in sight. My parents said she was sick, but she wasn't even at home, or so I thought. Probably an hour later, we went to my room to hang out, only to see my sister with her friends eating all over my bed. I saw crushed up chips all over the floor. I had enough. When my parents saw this, they were furious. Grounded my sister for a full month, and her friends were never allowed over. I was glad, but more glad to get away from here. Fast forward a few months, I said my goodbyes to my parents, and I headed to a college out of the country. My sister was crying when I left, mainly because I couldn't do her schoolwork for her anymore. She had to repeat 10th grade again after she failed her finals after being caught cheating on her phone. My parents were furious about this. I don't know if she got punished or not from this, since it wasn't spoken about much. Fast forward a few weeks, college was great so far. Me and this girl, Michaela, shared a dorm. We became really great friends. We hung out and ate dinner together almost every night. I had majored as an IT specialist, going to class every day. I sit next to my future husband, Steven. It was almost love at first sight. I was a bit nervous to ask him out on the first day. But on the second day, I had the courage to ask him out. He said he would love to, and he thought I was pretty cute. Happiness filled my eyes, and I hugged him without thinking. I thought I made a big mistake, but to my surprise, he was fine with it. Fast forward 3 years later, me and Steven finally graduated from college and got job offers at an office. After a while of us saving money, we bought a lovely 2-bed, 1-bath house, about 15 minutes from our office. It had been a while since I checked up on my parents. I started a FaceTime call with them. We both have been telling each other what has been going on in our lives. She started to mention how Ashley just graduated from high school and how she would love for you to come visit again. We didn't mind taking a vacation. After we got off the plane, I saw my parents waiting for me, but not Ashley. Apparently, Ashley Ashley still lives with them and doesn't have any plans on going to college. My parents were fine with it and supported her decision. We all decided to go out for dinner the same night. It was going good until Ashley started to flirt with Steven, which made him a bit uncomfortable. I don't really remember what he said, but I think he said no thanks or I'm not interested. Ashley was a bit embarrassed, but she had another idea. She decided to scoot her chair closer to him, which prompted him to push her away, making him a bit pissed off. She then decided to lean on him, saying how she is so much better than I and how she is prettier. This got him pissed off so much that he just left the restaurant. Fast forward 8 years, me and Steven are about to have our wedding. We had low contact with my parents and sister, but we still invited them. I thought my sister would have grown up by now. We had our wedding at this nice hotel. On the wedding day, everything was looking beautiful. Everyone was there except my sister. My parents said she was running late. That was until she came in the door with a full-on wedding dress. I was shocked to see her do that. And when I called her out on it, she just said how she should just be able to wear it and how it costed so much. I went off on her. I told her that I had sent out a dress code multiple times and how if you would have read the texts I sent, this wouldn't have happened. She started to cry and my parents started to defend her, saying how she could just take the dress off and it would be fine. I thought it would be okay. Fast forward to where I was walking down the carpet. Ashley was sitting with her arms crossed. I didn't mind it. As me and Steven said our I do's, my sister jumped up and said, "Boo! When are we going to get the cake?" Everyone in the room was staring at her. My parents, who were sitting next to her, looked really embarrassed. My parents tried to get her out of the room when she ran out of their arms and went right for the cake. The cake was all over the ground, and I see her just eating it. Security had to escort her out. I was holding back my tears, as she just ruined my whole wedding in front of me. After the wedding, I decided to block Ashley from every site, and I decided to post about how she ruined my wedding. I'm starting to feel guilty. Was blocking her the right thing to do? Edit. It's been about an hour since I posted this. I have seen some of your comments. Me and Steven decided to redo the wedding. We would have the wedding on July 1st. I'm thankful for all the support, and I'll keep you guys updated. That's all for today's story. It's always tough dealing with family issues, especially when they impact your significant other. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time.